Dave Mercer.
I am at Pangrac.
Welcome to The Cull, a weekly sport fishing debate show. And this week's topic, Panger, is the Bassmaster Classic should kick off the season. Keep our cull.
Well, I mean, you called it Bassmaster Classic, so I think we should revert to you for your first initial opinion on this.
Well, I have to remove my employment hat on this and just speak as a bass fishing fan. But I agree. I think that it should kick off the season. I know we've done a couple of events before the Classic the last number of years. That seems to be the pattern. But I still think back to initially when the Classic became the first event of the year, I think everybody kind of thought it was weird. You know what I mean? It was a big change. The reason it was made was because of ESPN, because of TV, because of viewership at that time of year. And that's ultimately what is going to affect this decision now, because viewership is everything. And that is the time of year when most of the country wants to be watching television, wants to be watching streaming services. But I just think that there's some specialness missing. The Classic is incredible. But I feel like if you think back to when the Classic, as I was saying, when it first switched to the beginning of the year, it seemed weird. But it's become our pattern. And there's an excitement around seeing everybody's wraps, seeing everybody's new partnership, seeing everybody's new looks. You know, it's opening day. And I think that while Toledo Bend being our first tournament of the year will be special, and you will be able to see that, there is only one Bassmaster Classic. And I think having it as the first event of the year, there's a very special feeling around that. The problem is, you got to start having the Classic in Florida and places like that. Because if you look at this year's Classic and you look at this year's season, Bassmaster season starting in Texas, the Elite Series is probably starting later than it's ever started. There's no way you can push everything back that far. You need to have it earlier. So I understand the problem. I'm not saying that it's ever going to change, but in a perfect world, I think that yes, the Bassmaster Classic should be our Daytona 500. It should kick off the season. It should be full of hoopla and happiness. And some of that's missing when you put a couple of elites before it.
That's well said. I 100% agree with what you've said, but you know, that key word, which you so eloquently explained, is logistics. You're really pigeonholing where that Classic can be. You know, when it ended the year prior to the 2005 season was the last one where it was the summer. It was the culmination of the season. So it was the final event of the season. And then it went to the first event. So it obviously makes sense to have your championship be either the first event of the season with a wraparound or the last event of a season. So it's all in there. You kind of have it. I do agree that it is a little bit funky to have 2 or 3 events before that. But as a tournament fisherman and a competitor, I think that it is also nice for those anglers to have several events under their belt before they go to the Bassmaster Classic. And if I'm watching the pinnacle of the sport where they're competing for the Classic, I want the equipment to be top notch. I want these guys in mid-season form. I don't want them to be breaking in their boats during the Classic. As a media person, I want to be able to talk about the guys who come into the Classic on a hot streak, who have done well in the first 2 tournaments. As an MC, it's beneficial to you to be able to have that platform for those first couple events that always get big numbers because everybody has cabin fever, to pump up the Classic, to talk to those favorites, to talk to those Classic anglers on stage. So there are also a lot of benefits to putting it in the middle of the season. This is not a stick and ball sport. It does depend on the elements, on the weather. We're kind of pigeonholed by the calendar. So in a perfect world, yes, I am going to keep that, but logistically, it doesn't really bother me. And the more you think about it, I like it the way it is. So I'm calling it.
I feel like I'm right there with you. And as confused as this makes us sound, but I agree. Like everything in me as a fan says, man, that was so cool when it was like that. Mm-hmm. I also thought it was so cool when it was at the end of the season. But I get it. It's a different time. You know, we are not other sports. We are fishing and we get compared to other sports so often. We are nothing like football, baseball, any stick and ball sport. We're not like them. We don't have the same viewership. So we need to kind of pick and choose our windows, and that is the best window to have it in. The fact that the Classic has had record numbers year after year shows that they're doing the right things. But yes, in my heart as a fan, there's something special about having it kick off the season. But that, and on top of that, call a spade a spade. There's competition in the tournament world nowadays. Mm-hmm. More competition than maybe there's ever been outside of the height of FLW's days. There's no way Bass is going to shove it back and allow MLF to have, 2 months.
January, February, March. Yeah. With no tournament coverage, especially when the season ends in August.
Yeah. And, FS1, Fox is such a great partner. So basically, as a fan, I would love to see it. But as a business person and the business people that pay the bills, that's when they want to have it. And so yeah, I'm keeping McCullen just like you. Now we're going to get all sorts of comments where people are like, just put it back in the summer. And I will go back and say, look at all the record crowds we have now. A lot of those are children. That is a fallacy that it's not as successful. Families don't go anymore. They do. I mean, the numbers don't lie. So yeah, so I'd love it as a fan, but it's just not those times anymore.
Well said.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Keep or cull. The Bassmaster Classic should be the first event of the season.